This experiment involves a technique known as titration, which is a common method for determining the concentration of a dissolved substance. Titration is a technique which uses a solution of known concentration to determine the concentration of an unknown solution. Typically, the titrant, which is the known solution, is added from a burette to a known quantity of the analyte, which is the unknown. Knowing the volume of titrant added allows for the determination of the concentration of the unknown. As stated in your lab manual, titrations require attention to detail. To help you with this, a titration checklist is provided. Please read the checklist before beginning your titration and refer to it frequently. Before you start, be sure to be comfortable handling the burette and the burette stand. The burette stand holds the burette in place with spring action. You must press the two levers with one hand while holding the burette with your other hand in order to remove and replace the burette from its stand. Rinse the burette 3 times with deionized water. This can be done by quarter filling the burette with deionized water, then tipping and rotating it so that the entire inside is coated with water. Next, hold the burette upright and turn the stopcock, allowing water to drain into a refuse beaker or the sink as shown in the video. Note the coating of the water on the burette walls. Next, rinse the burette at least 2 times with the titrant solution. This will replace the water coating with a coating of titrant. Secure the burette to a stand using burette clamps and make sure it is vertical. Fill the burette with titrant to a point above the 0 mark. Place the refuse beaker under the burette and turn on the stopcock full force, allowing the titrant to drain a bit below the 0 mark. This full force drainage is meant to eliminate any air gaps in the stopcock and tip. If you notice an air bubble at the tip of your burette, drain a little bit more of the titrant. This should eliminate the air bubble. Ensure the Erlenmeyer flask is clean and that its outside is dry. Put it on the balance, wrap your finger in a paper towel before pressing the tare button, weigh between 0.100 grams and 0.115 grams of the assigned unknown acid directly into the Erlenmeyer flask. Record the mass of acid used in the table provided. Add approximately 20 milliliters of deionized water and swirl the mixture gently. Make sure no solid acid particles remain on the side of the flask. The acid crystals may not dissolve completely at first, but this will not affect the titration results. Add 2 drops of phenolphthalein indicator solution to the acid in the flask. Always take note of the initial volume in the burette read to 2 decimal places. In the first titration, sodium hydroxide solution can be dispensed rapidly to determine the approximate volume of the base required to neutralize the acid. The trials which follow should be much more efficient if you use the same approximate mass of solid. Taking note of the initial and final volume readings of the burette will allow you to calculate the approximate volume of titrant needed. Empty your sample into the sink and rinse your Erlenmeyer flask 3 times with deionized water. Rinse the sink well with tap water. Draw the outside of the flask and repeat steps 3 to 5 in order to prepare for your precise titration. Rinse the end of the burette with deionized water to wash off any solution that may have contaminated the burette in the first titration. Wipe the tip dry with paper towel. Refill your burette and prepare your sample as before. Start your titration the same way as in step 6, however take care when closing in on the end point of the titration. Once a trace of pink starts to appear, slow down and continue the titration dropwise until the end point. Prior to reaching the end point, the pink color will disappear after swirling. You may periodically use water to rinse the end of the burette as it may add smaller amounts of titrant allowed than with a quick twist of the stopcock. Stop the titration immediately when a faint pink color remains for approximately 20 seconds. This is the actual end point of the titration. Record the final burette reading, again to 2 decimal places, in the table provided. If you are unsure if you have reached the endpoint and you want to add another drop, be sure to take note of the burette reading. Your next drop may not be necessary. If your drop turns the color a deep pink, you have added too much titrant and are now past the endpoint. You may also rinse the tip of the burette or touch the burette tip of your flask when you are near the endpoint to add a small amount of titrant as previously described. This may be enough to reach the endpoint.